to the various points, because we heard even from this morning the skill mismatch or skill gaps, and then we talk about micro-credentials, how the micro-credentials can be effective in answering to the request of the market, and the time that we prepare people for the occupations, how we are able to make it faster, because as Peter was saying, someone goes to the company, needs some skill, come to get the skill, and then go back. In Italy, the company is changed, maybe it's closed, and it's quite difficult to find a solution if everything changes very fast and we remain linked to the previous behaviors, habits. So the Skillman network, as we know, I'm introducing now a concept, is a contamination of ideas. So we try to put together our ideas not to find definitive answers, but just to put challenges to our activities. And to do that, we use a life cycle approach, which is to introduce innovation in our minds. And this is done exactly in that way. So now we are at the end of this yearly life cycle, because we are moving through the Allianz Summit, through yearly activities like the peer learning clubs and webinars, and so many meetings that we do during the year. And now we are at the Skillman International Forum, and the output of this cycle will be from the Ancona Declaration, the Skillman Liverpool Declaration. So now the challenge we have on the table is linked to the European policies through this last initiative, which is the Union of Skills, in which we can find again all or many of the aspects that we have already discussed here, to look how to help people to find a job or to keep safe a job, and how to give the capacity to our youngsters to become full citizens. So there are various aspects that are tangible in this area of, I would say, worries, because there is not only this that take busy our minds. We have other aspects that influence the serenity of our life. But even to know that you are, or your youngsters in your country, or in general in countries, are not able to enter in the life, in the labor market as it was possible for you, this makes a worry. So the Union of Skills is the initiative of the European Commission, but we are very linked to this, because we won't reach the same goals. And my self-question, I reflect on this, and my question is how we can take examples from the past to understand what is necessary now and for the future, because is, in my approach, always better to take example from some good example and then to elaborate new strategies. And I go back to what I already presented, if you remember, in Riga, because this was then moved to the Riga Declaration, where I was talking about the bricks that composes the huge dome in Florence, designed by Filippo Brunelleschi. So the idea I was presenting there is that the designer of the dome was recognized as the first modern engineer, but he was not an engineer. So coming to the micro-credentials and digital credentials and DQF platform that was mentioned many times, but tomorrow during the panel we will have time to explain better. Filippo was not recognized and was not an engineer like having a degree. He was on the field. He was recognized on the field. And the micro-credentials that he was then finally showing as his own capacity, deriving from the labor situation, from a concrete situation. So he built these 4 million bricks and made this system, and the bricks are self-porting, they stay together, they are still there in Florence, without any other support. So the forces that are among them solve the situation, are the forces among them, the tensions among the bricks that make the bricks to stay on. And I was saying in Riga that this is not the value of one brick is not the value of the dome, because you have 4 million bricks. If each one costs €1, you could buy the dome for 4 million euros, but that's not the equivalence. The value of this solution is very much higher, because putting together and creating these forces among these bricks creates the effective value of the opera, which is not just the composition of each individual part. And these were calling me to mention that the relationship among individuals are the real value, more than individuals in themselves. So the social and emotional skills that we are challenged to boost to avoid the wars and to avoid the conflicts, these are really the key point that we have to keep under our attention, because these are the forces that compose the humanity. So we are the network for skills on advanced manufacturing, but it's true that we look to skills that are more wide, and we have a wider perspective on what is necessary for the future. So Filippo Brunelleschi left the dome without the big orb on top, the golden orb, which was added after he left. And who was asked to complete the dome after Filippo Brunelleschi efforts was the Andrea del Verrocchio workshop. Andrea del Verrocchio workshop, I noted that it changed when I moved.
Need some dancing.
Yeah. I don't know, sorry. Andrea del Verrocchio was running an art workshop. At that time they were putting very advanced solutions in the arts workshop. They were using different techniques. And our friend Leonardo was an apprentice in the Andrea del Verrocchio workshop. And he was looking how Andrea del Verrocchio was solving the problem to weld the big ball in copper, by using lens, taking the energy from the sun and merging this energy like a laser ray. So at that time they were making incredible technical solutions in an art workshop to produce.
Oh. The other one.
Okay, this is that. Second chance. Yeah? To produce the solutions to end the opera of Filippo Brunelleschi. So Leonardo da Vinci started as an apprentice. he was not an engineer, also not studying for engineering. He was an artist, he studied everything. At that time, it was possible to take all these kind of credentials in one person. He was a genius, but he ended as an engineer, recognized engineer again. So these two examples coming from the art and other skills need to be understood in terms of credentials. Who recognized the credentials of these two geniuses? And Leonardo was also promoting this kind of marriage among the skills and the practical knowledge. So by saying that if you want to learn something, you have to go through what you want to learn. You have to experiment. So competence-based learning, I would say, seeds. And they were recognized at the end of both of their lives. They were recognized officially as engineers. But they didn't do that in the normal approach, because this was passing from their reputation. I think that this word is very important in all our reflections about credentials, and like Microsoft make this offer to get credentials. The reputation is behind all this. When we will talk about digital qualification framework, or I can also anticipate that digital qualification framework is the platform that we provide to any institutions to put his own reputation in the credentials. So it's not the digital qualification framework providing a reputation, but is the issuer and is the own third parties certifications. So in other terms, our idea is to move to a planet in which, thanks to this reputation, we can have people showing credentials in a digital manner. Of course, we are talking about digital credentials with DQF, that bring them to have a role in the society. When we need to have these people with cohesion, people that collaborate, people that are able to stay together and to create the value, we need people that can be recognized for what they are bringing to the community. There is a nice, I don't know how much, but anyway, to become politician is the only profession that you don't need a qualification, and you can see in effect what happened when these people take the power. So we need to move to the planet of qualification because we need to know who is able to bring to the community what. What are you bringing to the community? We need to know people and how we as educators can contribute to this competence-based civil society. I want to know what you are bringing, because if you bring war, I don't want you at the power. So we need, I don't say that we need the schools for politicians and then the ones that don't pass the exam cannot be politicians, but we need to reflect on this, because I think this is a transversal common need that is going across all countries. And the Skillman network, as we know, operate in all countries. So we need to think to the future, taking example from this fact that the recognition of competencies or the micro-credentials, the credentials can pass through the reputation. These big personages became recognized officially because they were famous. But what about people that cannot become famous? You need to have your own credential, because when you introduce yourself in the planet of qualifications, you need to be able to say, I am the one that is doing this role. I want to do this. So a knowledge of skills and micro-credentials is the key for this future, and we need to provide these credentials for the future, moving from the situation into a situation in which individual learning accounts will be the portfolio, will be the wallets of the individuals, making them able to spend their own skills in different situations. The digital qualification framework that we have Dott is like an individual learning account, is not only to allow people to provide, institutions to provide credentials, but is also something to allow individuals to keep safe their own credentials into a wallet. This is coming from the recommendation of the European Council, in which the individual learning account has two meanings. One is to have entitlements to spend resources for getting trainings. And the other one is to receive credentials and to keep safe these credentials into a wallet. So this is the DQF scenario, in which we are able then to support all members and not members, and I thank you, Stefania, because you underlined that our offers, like the training course that we have put into the Skillman Teacher Academy, are offered for free to all our members and not members. And this was the slide that we have seen from Gunnar. We have also implemented the EBSI technology, so we are providing digital credentials by implementing the blockchain technology of the European Commission. In this regard, nice, what is?
Support.
Okay, in this regard, I have another question. How is Skillman applying DQF? And I'm going to introduce this part, which is the presentation of our intentions in terms of trainings, solutions, and opportunities. So we have launched this idea that was officially opened in Ancona, and we have created this basket in which we have already started to put objects. So this is the Skillman Teacher Academy. The Skillman Teacher Academy is an initiative that keeps in consideration all these reflections and try to offer to our 200 and more organizations that are affiliated with the Skillman Teacher Academy, mostly of them are universities, to implement this, the solutions that we bring to them to reach the goal, the ethical goals that they can have, matching with these previous statements that I did. So the Skillman Teacher Academy is a three-level framework which is bringing us to the next step of the innovation, which is to consider the relevance of the generative artificial intelligence in education. So we have now the system, and we are now working in implementing these ideas that we take care with the support of the generative artificial intelligence. The training courses that we have already published, or that are already online, brings in this direction. These are resources available for free to all our members, and now we are moving to establish the Skillman Generative Artificial Intelligence Lab, which is the forefront solution that we want to put in practice for this idea to bring generative artificial intelligence to light into education approaches. So we need to do that teachers are at the center of this transition, of this transformation. And for this reason, we have started to interact with CDFOP, with Irene SIF, because this is the reason why she was presenting in Ancona their important survey on teachers and schools. So then we discussed in Ancona the relevance of entrepreneurial approach, and then we finally focus our attention through the two systems that we have established, and we have Gunnar driving this path through Dott, and then shared work among many of people here, the digital qualification platform. So artificial intelligence, I'm going to conclude this, is the challenge we have put on the table for the next months, and then we are going to use this framework, the Skillman Teacher Academy, to bring on all these aspects that are then made concrete through different tools like COVES and EQF.eu. So, thank you very much for the attention. Now I think we are ready for the buffet lunch. We heard the preparation, and then after the lunch we will be back here. So, thank you very much to everybody here and at home following us on live streaming, Skillman.eu live. Thank you very much.